guys, welcome to this week's episode of I'm a DisNerd. Today I'm going to do a in-depth review of the Crystal Palace in the Magic Kingdom. Okay, so the Crystal Palace is a table service restaurant located on the left side of the hub at the end of Main Street, USA. So when you're facing the castle, it's on the left. It's almost impossible to miss. This is a character dining experience as well as a buffet. So it is open for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. All three are character dining experiences. Okay, so the food offered on the buffet is typical American food. For breakfast, there's a variety of breakfast meats such as sausage, bacon. There's also potatoes, pancakes, waffles, eggs, cereal, and fresh fruit. For lunch, there are roasted meats that can get carbs such as roast beef and ham. Seasonal fish and vegetables, fresh pasta, soups, salads, fruits, breads, desserts, and a special section for kids that usually has meatballs and spaghetti, mac and cheese, chicken nuggets, and some select vegetables that are kid-friendly. For dinner, the selections are very similar to lunch, plus there's also fresh shrimp and chicken. Alright, so like I said, this is a character dining experience. So what that means is that, as you eat, characters walk around. So which characters could you possibly meet? Again, the characters are subject to change, and they may not all be out all the time. But the characters that are usually present are Winnie the Pooh, Piglet, Tigger, and Eeyore. So the characters are more than happy to take pictures with everyone at your party. They're more than willing to sign autograph books. Just make sure the autograph book is open, because they have a hard time opening them. So make sure that it's open. And if you're using a pen that has a cap, that the cap is off the pen. I personally suggest using Sharpies, just because it's better. And I also don't buy the books at the park. I make my own. And I'm going to have a video later on how to create your own autograph book. But take as much time as you want with the characters. They're in no rush to move ahead. The only time you want to kind of shuffle them along is if you notice a character is starting to get backed up behind them. Alright, so since this is a buffet, you can go and get as much food as you want, as often as you would like. But if you see a character close to your section, I would hold off. If you miss a character, it can take up to, if not more than, 45 minutes for them to come back around to your table after going, because if you think about it, they have to finish whatever they've started, they have to take a 15-minute break, and then they come back out. So it could take a while if you miss a character. So if you notice one in your section, I wouldn't go to the buffet. I would stay put. Okay, so the price for the Crystal Palace varies based on the meal that you were eating. If you're looking to save money, I would go for breakfast, since it tends to be $12 to $15 cheaper per person. If you have the dining plan, this will use 1 table service credit per person in your party. If you're looking for the exact prices, you can go on DisneyWorld.com. They have them listed there. It gives you a range. It doesn't give you an exact price. That's also why I'm not giving you an exact price. Alright, so now that I've described what Crystal Palace is, let's talk about the pros and cons of dining there. Let's start with the pros. So the food is delicious. It is so good, and there's something for everyone. I'm a very picky eater, and I found that I will eat most of the stuff on the buffet. And if stuff doesn't look right to me, I always go to the kids section, because I will eat mac and cheese till my heart is content. Another pro would be the family-friendly atmosphere. When you walk in, there's a huge banner saying, in celebration of Friendship Day, and the message is spread throughout the entire meal and throughout your entire dining experience. It is very friendly. It's very, very family-oriented. The wait staff and the cast members that are there are always making sure that you're having a very pleasant experience, which is great. Alright, now on to the cons, or the not-so-good stuff. I wouldn't necessarily call them cons. It's just stuff that doesn't quite sit right with me, if that makes sense. While I love the food and the atmosphere, it tends to get very, very loud, especially during peak dining periods, such as during dinner between like 5 and 7 o'clock. It gets obnoxiously loud. Um, it's during those peak times. Sometimes you can't even hear the person you're sitting next to. I went last time I went with my best friend. We were sitting across from each other, and when we had earlier reservations, so we were seated at like 4:30. By the time like 5:30 rolled around, we had parties on both sides of us. With They were larger parties with a bunch of kids. We couldn't hear each other. At one point, we wound up texting each other, and we were sitting across from each other. How that's bad for loudness. And it also sucked that she lost her phone, so I was literally texting and then showing her and going. It was bad. Um, it also can be hard to move around when the characters are out. The pathways are already narrow as it is, and when the characters are out, it kind of becomes impossible to move around. If you're sitting on an outer table, it's a little easier to get out of your table to go see the characters. But if like the characters are out, it's kind of hard because you have to navigate new pathways to get back to your table if you're up at the buffet. If you're in one of the center sections, like in the booth, if you, for example, this is when my friend and I went, we had pillars on both sides of our table. Good thing neither of us are very wide. Otherwise, we wouldn't have been able to fit past the pillars in order to get to the characters. So it is very, very tight. Um, so that's not great, especially considering if you have a plate full of food, you're dodging characters, you're dodging kids, especially if it happens to be during the friendship parade, which they'll do. It can get ridiculous, and it's almost like doing an obstacle course as you're trying to get back to your table from the buffet. Overall, I would give this restaurant 3.5 stars, maybe 4 out of 5. Well, the food is delicious and the atmosphere is so much fun. The noise and the overcrowding does take away from the overall experience. There are some ways that Disney could improve this, and I understand they're trying to get as many people seated as possible, but there are way too many tables for the size of the room. And sometimes I think that they don't take into consideration that having a table for two between two pillars is not necessarily the best move, especially if you happen to have two guests that have a reservation and they happen to be on the larger side. They're not going to be able to get out and see the characters, and that's unfortunate. But anyway, thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe and tune in next week as I just run down a quick list of my favorites in the Magic Kingdom as well as why. Don't forget to subscribe. See ya!